Before I forget, I want to try to document a dream that I had just today. In my dream, I was caretaking for a rich, older white lady. She's kind of like a Hollywood celebrity or something like that. So this lady, she has a bad heart, and I'm still in healthcare in the dream, and it's like slave labor. And so I'm taking care of her, working all the time, and she has these ghosts that follow her. The funny thing about the ghosts is that they're two trans women. And so they're men who've converted to women who are trans, but they're also ghosts. And so one of them actually was a Spanish version of of Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. Her personality was not like that at all. She's a very sweet person, but she looked so much like a man that people couldn't recognize that she was a woman. And she had gender reassignment surgery. Her name was Carlos when she was a man, and when she transitioned, her name was Carlita. And so Carlita, she would actually wear dresses where she could flash people. They look like bathrobes, really, but she would constantly start to talk to people, and then they would mistake her for being a man because she looked like a man, and um, almost like Dr. Frankenfurter from Rocky Horror Picture. Then she'd flash them and show them her genitals. And I kept on telling Carlita, this is not a way to make friends. First, they're not going to understand that you're a ghost. And second, they're not going to understand that you're trans. And so Carlita had a hard time because she wanted to be accepted. And she was actually quite funny. The other trans person was this beautiful black woman. So, again, a man who had transitioned to a woman. And this woman was headless a lot of times. And the reason why was because she had managed to get an entire like cosmetic surgery for her body dysmorphia and really looked like an attractive young woman. And she walked around in tights. But her face, I guess she wasn't able to afford the facial feminization surgery. So she had a very gruff looking African American face. And she went by Sophia. And so what Sophia used to do is that Sophia would make her head disappear, the ghost version of her. And she would just walk around as this hot body. And she just wanted people to like her for her body. Um, and then her head would materialize and totally creep people out. The headless body was creepy too, but Sophia was hot, and she was funny because she was like wise and a sage. So anyway, I'm taking care of this old lady, and these two ghosts are pestering the lady, and I became friends with them. These two trans women, and every so often they would appear to people and interfere, but and so they're interfering because they're trying to be social. And so, but they were just ghosts, and they would freak people out. And I would explain to them that people are not ready for trans women, a lot of them, because they're not, it's just so different and they're not grown up and they have so many biases. But they're also ghosts and that could freak people out. Um, they were attached to this lady I was taking care of who had heart disease. And so I thought it was going to be a good gig. It was like paying like travel nursing, like this incredible amount of money. But the money came at the cost of they wouldn't give me days off. And so I worked for months and months and months, and it was under this doctor who was like a shadow doctor. He was almost like a detective, but a doctor, and he was just like a shadow. Always wore a mask. He had silhouette and a fedora and a raincoat. And we were treating her for heart disease. And finally, after months, I just couldn't take it anymore. I was saying that I need to, I need to get away from this place. I need days off. You're gonna kill me. And the ghost wanted to talk and things, and then this lady who was a little bit senile with heart disease, she didn't want me to leave either. But I was like, no, I will not be able to do this anymore if you don't give me a day off. It's killing me. So I take a day off, and on my day off, I actually go to see my friend Denise, and I did martial arts with her a while ago, and so she went into like to the women Girl Scouts, and they actually learned to use flags to make purses and things, and um, they would wrap them like as a satchel, and they had a secret language that they would use the satchel for, and because I had done martial arts before, she wanted me to teach her how to use it in a martial arts way. So I showed her how to use it to do takedowns and things, and so it's just like a flag, like this long flowing, like a silk flowing robe slash flag that they would roll up and bundle and they'd carry around them like a satchel. Um, And so I taught her how to do like martial arts with it. We worked on it. It was a fun transition. It's a really neat thing that there was a women Girl Scouts where they empowered them further so that they could do anything. And they were like this bold set of adventurers. And so it was really cool. I hadn't really seen anything like that. And I was happy for Denise that she was able to turn it into like a martial arts type thing. And it's funny because they look like these very petite French women with these, the satchels rolled up like purses and with little like red berets. So like they were the red berets, I guess. I From there, I get a phone call from this mysterious doctor that the lady isn't doing well. We've been treating her for heart failure, and so I head back. The ghosts are all in a panic. One of them materializes. I think it was Sophie. Sophie materializes and then like becomes headless. And I was like, Sophie, come on. I need you to. I'm not gonna oogle you as eye candy. You need to tell me what's up. So her head materializes and it's bouncing around, and she's saying that Sophie, the headless trans woman, she's telling me that that her friend, I think her name was Jane, like is really doing poorly, and she needs me there, and that it's really important that no other healthcare person can do it, help them in the way I can. So I agree to go over. And then at this part of the dream, I actually run into Selena Gomez, and she's with a friend, and I see that it's Selena Gomez, and I'm like, cool, I've always liked this person, and I say, hey, it's nice to meet you, Selena. And I just say it passing by, and Selena's like rude to me. She just like taunts me, and she says, "You guys don't know what the hell you're doing. This is you're a joke." And she's just laughing, and then she says, "Ha ha ha! Heart failure. Everybody knows it's AFib. If only you could read an EKG." And I'm like, my thoughts are, what? What is Selena? Okay, well, I guess this is how I meet Selena Gomez, and I'm a little bit like let down, but it's just a brief moment. I go back to this mansion where this old lady is. The shadow doctor lets me know on the way in that he was right, that he was wrong. I mean that it wasn't heart failure. They were treating her for heart failure with diuretics and trying to do things to reduce her cardiac output. And it turns out that um, she was having AFib, and they needed to actually give her rhythm stabilizing drugs, statins and beta blockers and things like that to help the rhythm stabilize and even pace her. And that he just misread the EKG, and that it looked like a lot like heart failure, but it wasn't. It was statins. So this old lady is also has psychosis. Jane, she's like in her 80s, white hair. She looked like a almost like an old, like very very wrinkled Marilyn Monroe, um, and she had some dementia. So I'm helping Jane back to care, and then actually Selena Gomez comes to the house to treat Jane, and I find out that she's a doctor of cardiology, which blows my mind. And then she's kind of apologetic but kind of snooty. And at this moment, Carlita decides that Selena Gomez is potentially a friend, and so she tries to like flirtatiously say hello. And Selena, because Carlita looks exactly like a man in the bathrobe. It's a ghost, but they look real enough when they're doing their when they're introducing themselves to people. And Carlita immediately gets offended, and I say, Carlita, not now, please, not now. You do not need to flash Selena Gomez. Don't do it. Carlita doesn't listen. She opens up her silken dress robe and shows her female genitals from her gender reassignment, and says, I am not a I am not a man. As you can see, men don't have vaginas, and this is a vagina, and I am a woman. And she walks away in a tuft and she disappears. And when she does, Selena Gomez realizes that was a ghost. And Selena's asking me, do you realize that was a ghost? And I say, yeah. There are a couple of them here that live with Jane. It's not a big deal. They're actually pretty nice. And Selena's like, mind is blown. She's like, what? They're trans ghosts? Yeah, I answer. They're trans women ghosts. They're really cool if you get to know them. Carlita's very sensitive, I tell Selena. And I said, and speaking of sensitive, talking to me that way was really rude. I didn't have anything to do with this. I didn't write the orders. And she tells me that that's not what Dr. Mysterious said, that he said I was entirely responsible. And then I remember Dr. Mysterious telling me that he didn't want to take credit for the mistake, and so he was going to blame me. Yeah, which left a really bad taste in my mouth, but he upped my pay, so I just shut my mouth. And then Selena started to be real polite, but the problem was is I think the bridge was burned. I was a little bit upset. So while Selena changed some of the orders and went in to go do a visit with Jane, I hung out with Sophia and I asked Sophia what she thought, and Sophia thought I was being hypersensitive. And I told Sophia that how could she say that? She wasn't there. I mean, like that Selena was really rude, and that bridges can be burnt. And Sophia told me I was being petty, and that yeah, maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought. And I disagreed. I just disagreed with Sophia. I said, like if you want to be friends with Selena Gomez, be my guest. I'm sure she'd like you. But if you do that head disappearing stuff, it's gonna freak her out. You can't do that until you get to know somebody because like headless people and heads floating around, it just freaks people out. And so here I am talking to these trans women ghosts, telling them to be friendly because they're a little bit trippy as I meet Selena Gomez in my dream and she turns out to be a cardiologist after she insults me, tells me I'm full of crap. So, yeah.